Mm.
All right, it says preparing. This is my second live for today, public live. So here we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. I am here with my dear friend, Dr. Mariana. And while we can talk about mainstream topics, we also talk about everything under the sun. So here it is. You get to have an behind the scenes sort of conversation today on relationships and why is it sometimes exhausting. So we're going to talk about this in a very natural fashion. And my request for you watching this, catching the replay, or anything else, is to see what comes up for you. Share your aha moments, share your um, questions. Well, you were saying this part, but you didn't address this part. So ask the question. Um, and whatever else comes up for you. So this can be a truly transformative and healing conversation. So that is the desire here on the table, and that will be the experience by the end of the call. And here we go. We get to experience all of that together. So thank you,
Hmm.
Mariana, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I know that this conversation was bubbling up in our awareness, especially since yesterday, and here we are today doing it. Um, so, what I wanted to start with is that sometimes for us, it can be challenging enough to have a relationship with ourselves, right? We've got to figure out what we're thinking, how we're feeling, what we really desire, if we're hiding from our desires, and things like that. And yet, when we choose to be in a relationship with anybody else, regardless if it's a close friendship, a partnership, having a lover, um, anybody that you choose to be in a relationship with, that person plays the role of, generally plays the role of being a mirror. So they mirror back to you your limitations, or they go even deeper with the limitations to show you how glitchy and ugly it can be so that you do address it. And then they also show you the wonderful sides, like if there is a complementary energy between you and the person, you actually grow faster, you expand faster, you have more epiphanies, you experience a lot of joy and pleasure and all the things, right? So knowing that this is the natural default mode of the dynamic of relationships, the question here becomes, well, how can I have more of what I want in a relationship, right? And it does start with communication, I believe. First, communicating to yourself what you truly want, but sometimes we're so conditioned by the world and all the influences that we lose sight of that specific truth. And then of course, how do we express it to another person without feeling guilt or shame or responsible for their feelings and all
Mm.
these things, right? So these are I mean, elements that we face in any of these dynamics. So I know, Mariana, you were talking about the exhausting part, so I'd love for us to go there for a minute and then we can go deeper and then connect the dots. So
Mm-hmm.
over to you, love.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and because of feeling it, and realizing lately that there is this tiredness, this exhaustion, and I've come to realize that there's that it happens because you are in this constant search, maybe probably unconsciously, but we're always searching for something, and then it becomes this somehow this pattern in your head, in your way of functioning, in the way you are relating with out in the world. So it doesn't even apply just to couples, or in a romantic sense, not even that, just everything. We somehow, in my experience, but I think this applies to pretty much everyone, right? That we are just constantly searching for I don't know, for a company, for a job, for a project, for um, an inspiration, when we are creatives or freelancers, we're always searching, and that sense of connection is that we are craving, is so exhausting, because we are not aware that we are also always searching outside, but so much of what we are searching outside is really inside, because what we are searching is not is the idea, is not the job in itself, is the that thing that fills us up, right?
Yes.
And it becomes really tiring, because you're just constantly using energy pointing someone somewhere else,
Yeah,
right?
I absolutely love that. And you shared beautifully how broad this searching energy can be. And yes, we are searching for that fulfillment. We are searching for something, for meaning, like the meaning of life, the meaning of ourselves,
Yeah, which
the
is us
connection.
at the end.
Yes, yes, it is. You are absolutely right, right? And that's why the journey first starts within our own selves. Like you can never really expect the partnership to resolve that issue.
Yeah, and
And
we've
like
been
the
taught that.
yes, to find the answer outside and then bring it within. It's actually find it within and then share it outside of us, right? So so in a partnership, what then happens, and this is where it requires honesty and transparency. So we can have these feelings of lack and limitation or mistrust or what else comes up in relationship, misunderstandings, whatever.
Disrespect.
Yes, disrespect, you know. And it's for us, while we might be feeling or experiencing that, that other person may not have a clue that that's what you're experiencing. They may not see it through those labels. They may have a whole different world going on inside their heads.
Absolutely. Yeah, most probably all of the time.
Yes. And so that communication really helps to resolving that energy and saying, hey, I think this and I feel this, and I know it's not necessarily the truth, but I want to put it on the table here so that we can speak to it and see what is true and what isn't, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
and that part, I think, with communication, the first part is to not take things personally, because if we're taking things
Always.
personally, you're not gonna hear what the other person is saying. If
Yeah,
you're if you're thinking that something is against you or someone is against you or the world is against you, uh, you're almost like taking yourself out of the conversation right away. Almost like trying to protect yourself even before you start the conversation.
yeah. Playing the victim.
Yes, yes, exactly. So, what happens then when we're in a position when we're with somebody or we know somebody or anything like that, and we're seeing so much value for them? We're seeing their vision, their value, their magic, their potential, and they are not stepping up to that. They are like missing the point, not interested, playing the victim,
Mm.
all these things, right? it
It's
can it can be
painful.
Yes, it can be heartbreaking. That's what I was gonna say. So
Yeah, it's painful. It comes to mind right away of the way you feel, because you see all of those things, and probably there's people around, like outside of me, that have felt that for me, probably even yourself, and you just hurt, or feel for the other person. I was having this conversation yesterday with someone, and they said, why are you feeling for I don't know, X or Y or Z person, whatever the other people outside of you choose is their choice. Why do you feel any sadness? What does it have to do with you? Their choice, what does it have to do with you, kind of thing. And I was like, no, it's not that I'm it's the pain of seeing them not doing what I can see they can do. And it's draining.
yes, yes. And so if we broaden that lens a little bigger, this is how some parents may feel for their children. Maybe this is
Hmm.
how God may feel looking at us. Like, they
Wow,
have all
yeah.
this, right? They have all this potential, and they're going around in circles, but not really claiming the thing.
Hmm.
But yes, this is the gift of free will, where people, you know, um, they do have the ability to make a choice. Now, here is the catch-22 angle with this. In making a choice, our choices in front of us shows up based on our awareness. So if we're not aware, we can't make an elevated choice.
Hmm.
And our awareness can look two ways, like this is what I want, I desire, I require, and that kind of energy, it can go there. Or it can look like I do not want to have this in my life. I don't want it to repeat. I am done with this
Mm,
storyline. This is it. I am not available for this thing anymore. Right?
yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
Yes. Right. And that's how it shows up. But I think, well, how in this moment in time, how we can fine tune this even more is not to make it mutually exclusive. Like it either has to be I want or I don't want. It has to be because I am not available for XYZ, therefore I
Mm-hmm.
am available for ABC. Or because I know I'm available for ABC, what it means between the lines is that I'm not available for XYZ. And it's for
Mm-hmm.
us to address both parts, because when we don't, we create holes in our containers. There goes the
Right.
birds again.
I love them.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing. And I think once you decide that, in being in this position of seeing somebody not choosing their potential in this moment, to say, hey, I know, with like, you've got to remind yourself of the truth. I know without a doubt that this person is available for this level of potential. I know that they get to choose it, and I know they also have a choice in choosing when. And when it's when they choose it, they can have varying outcomes, right? Because it's where you decide to put your to go and join the traffic on a road,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the time of day,
Right.
right? So you can have a lot of other cars, you can have silence. You're choosing the when. And so you're also having your own reality as you choose when. It can be really uncomfortable, it can be really pleasurable. You get to decide on that. And the normal way this goes is that the more you're aware and make that decision from the level of truth and clarity, the easier it gets and the faster it goes,
Yeah.
and you're able to take that quantum leap from one space into the next level. But the
Mm.
more you delay on it, overthink it, try to process it, try to figure it out, try to have all the steps in place before you actually leap, the energy of the leaping is much shorter, and you don't really get to the other side. You have
Mm-hmm.
to take like 100 steps to actually getting there, and that's also an energy of exhaustion, since we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about exhaustion, right? So this is where in your part, it's not for you to feel responsible for the other person's choices, but to feel the pleasure of seeing it. You have the ability to see it. You have the ability to say it to them, because if it's your standards and requirements in communicating the truth, you say that instantly, and it's their choice to do whatever they need to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, it's for you to take that energy and look in your life and see where else can you up level. Because you've also been playing the game of mirrors, they might
Mm-hmm.
be reflecting to you something that you forgot about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think to all of these, you mentioned it at the beginning. I think maybe it was the third part, or maybe I'm getting ahead, but knowing the ABC versus the XYZ, it's to me, it's a matter of expression. Because if you don't express things that you have inside, if you, whether you're clear or not super clear, you need to express anything that you feel, and as you express, you will become clear. And I feel that's so important, because then we can just paddle in mud so much because of that, and it's just because we are not expressing. So as we keep all the things inside, it just becomes a big pile of nothing.
I love that. Yes. And so I love that you're taking it a few steps backward, in the sense of, if you don't know what you want, or you know what you don't want, if you're like, there's just so much information and I'm spiraling, that initial expression is important. So you get to hear yourself. You get to speak to
Mm-hmm.
somebody that you trust, that says, hey, that's what you're saying. It's an old story. It's an old pattern. Why is it that you're
Yeah.
even doing that? Right? Like you and your friend, she's like, why are you feeling responsible for their choices?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so what she was actually telling you is that she might be saying, "Hey, Mariana, somehow in your conditioning and your experiences in your journey through life, you might have believed that in order to love somebody, you if you're going to choose to love somebody, you're also responsible for their well-being, right? So now you're
Mhm.
linking responsibility with the definition of love, and that's why
Yeah.
you might be feeling that. And so that's
Mm.
where you get to let it go, because if love is pure in its true sense, it will unfold regardless, like a
Yes,
plant.
with
It
ease.
grows in concrete, right? It can grow in concrete, it can grow in soil, because it the nature of growing is built in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you if you think about, oh, if they don't take what I'm saying, they may never get it, is
Mm-hmm.
that's your energy of responsibility, and then you're actually suffocating them because they can't see a way out and they're not willing to receive what you're saying in that moment.
Yeah, especially that, because me personally, someone who always expresses, like, I speak my truth, right? Whether it's difficult or easy. It's like, look, I'm feeling this, whether it's relationship, personal, work, whatever, I'm feeling this thing. And exactly what you are saying. So many times people are either not ready to understand what you're saying, they just don't receive it in the same, in the same level or the same plate. And sometimes, yeah, you express, but you also don't know if the other person is not expressing back to you. So it's like a one direction only kind of communication, and for relationships to work, it has to be bidirectional. It has to go both ways, so you know your truth and it's okay. And it's not like you need the other person's truth, but it clears a lot on the way, because that's relationships. Because it is not, I mean, if it was just me alone, then I don't need anyone, right? But it is interesting. And in that interaction, you always get something for yourself to keep growing and evolving. So you need somehow that bidirectional kind of
Yes,
communication with love and respect, whatever the case.
yes. And what I hear you say as well is, not to judge yourself in the process. So it doesn't mean in this conversation and you taking these tips that suddenly magically all your communications and conversations and relationships will go excellent. That's not the point
Hmm.
here. It's actually when it goes wrong or haywire or a little off, however, whatever flags you're looking for,
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to evolve. That's the way I like to look at it. And so again,
Mm-hmm.
when you have that honest and transparent conversation, you get to be in a new level. And that's what Mariana is saying. You will always, always benefit from these conversations.
Yeah.
So
You
there's that.
clear the energy.
Yes, exactly. And so here, if you're going to take away anything from this conversation, it's honesty and transparency, it's decision making, and it's timing, right? And so the timing part is the fun part and the excruciating part, because it can make something either really hard or really easy. And it's for you to trust that nudge. And so for Marianne and I, we're more in the space of saying it instantly when we see it, we address it. And, we open the doors for that kind of conversation. Say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about this. Is now the time? If not, let's choose a time, put it on the calendar so that a conversation happens. Because we
Mm.
also know that when we're in this model of thoughts, it can easily escape us and never happen. The conversation may never happen. It may take days before it actually happens, weeks, a month, we might
Yeah.
forget about it. And then we're missing the point. It's kind of like asking somebody for directions if you're driving, but you keep driving 1 mile, 2 miles, 5 miles further into the future, and the directions for the map never got addressed. You see? So then it creates more friction in that conversation and more things to clean
Mm-hmm.
up, right?
Yeah, like a snowball. It just adds up. And then no one remembers what the main initial spot was,
Exactly.
kind of thing.
Exactly. So this is
Mm-hmm.
what Mariana and I are here to encourage you all about. So like that initial spot thing, like say it instantly when it happens, address it, get to the bottom of it as well. Not just like, oh, speak it and we'll see what happens. Not that kind of energy. Get to the
Mm-hmm.
point of making a decision so that the energy really moves forward and the magic
Yeah.
unlocks of that. Because sometimes magic shows up. There goes the birds again. Magic shows up in disguise. It may show like an obstacle, a challenge, a you know a terrifying situation, and sometimes it shows up so simple and so smooth and so whispery that we in both cases we may miss it because we're like, oh, that's too easy, don't go there, or oh, that's too hard, I don't want to go there. And it's really about paying attention to all the things regardless of our human perception.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Mariana?
No, I think that's plenty is good. I think it covers the basics, right? Because it's always complicated. Relationships, everybody says, oh, it's complicated thing, but how complicated do we really make it? It can be easier, it can be simpler. It's just a matter of these things that we mentioned, and it doesn't have to be complicated. And as long as we are true to that thing, we get to know ourselves as we evolve. There will always be something changing, but doesn't have to be if we are honest with ourselves.
Right, exactly. So we will talk again soon, and I'll have to go now. So love you all. Bye.
Bye. Love you.